Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big League Breakdowns. Today, we are going to talk about the fall off of the New York Yankees and what they haven't done the last 20 games. Is myself, Tyler, and Will here in this one, and I'm sure, Will, you're. This is like something that's really fun for you to record. I don't know if you're a true Yankee hater, but I know, you're not John level, but
I
there's
was gonna
there's
say I can feel John channeling into me right now as his rage is soaring through me, but also his giddiness at how the Yankees are not the Yankees of old.
Yeah, they started the season obviously as one of the best teams, and record wise, they still are up there. But they have really, really struggled in the month of June. Specifically, their last 20 games, they are just off the charts bad in their last 20 games. They're
And July
six.
is not that much better.
Yeah, and the start of July as well. They are 6 and now 15 after their loss on Sunday Night Baseball. We are recording this, by the way, on July 7th. Um, they're 6 and 15 in their
They
last
just lost again.
21 games. That is the worst record in baseball in that span, and it's just
White
like,
Sox move over. There's a new trash toilet crown, whatever you want to call it. They
dude,
they belong
I
apparently.
I mean, it's just insane with the start of the season. Like, just what is your take on this overall? Because you got the stars there, obviously, and Judge and Soto trying to do
Okay, I
their thing.
guess that's the discussion
Right.
because here's the thing with the Yankees previous season. The issue with them was that they relied way too heavily on Judge.
Yeah.
So the answer was to bring in another superstar. Not a terrible idea, but let's be honest, it still doesn't fix the rest of the issues with the lineup. You're basically just went from we have one thumper that we can rely on to now we have two thumpers that we can rely on.
Yeah.
And what they are proving right now, hence what was all right, you have to help me remind me on this one. What is that quote that came out from what was it, a hitting coach or Judge's personal hitting coach or something,
Oh,
where it was like Aaron Judge is putting up offensive numbers and the team is doing terrible.
yeah.
The hitting scout or whatever it is for the team, it needs to be fired or
Yeah.
that's not what it said, but
It was
just
along those lines. Yes. I
but
think it was. Uh, Basic. I think he literally called their offensive development terrible and all this stuff. But
yeah,
yes. Um,
but they are basically showing right now that the issues of the last couple seasons are still here. Some of it might have to do also with the fact that Stanton's hurt. Stanton did has bounced back this year as he had a Stanton season from when he was in Miami. No, but he was on pace to put up mid to upper 30s in home runs while batting in the 240s or something, which for a power hitter, if you can produce those home runs, the low average is okay. And
yeah.
Judge and Soto are putting up all-star numbers. There's no doubt about that, but like everything around them is a mess. Verdugo's underperforming. LeMahieu looks like he should retire. That was
Dude.
someone I didn't have a lot of faith in beginning of the season because I thought the team should have looked to sign Chapman and move
Yeah.
LeMahieu to a super utility type of role. Gleyber Torres is sucking again. He has been extremely inconsistent after his first couple seasons with the team. So their offseason moves just are proving to be a bandage over the wound, and now the wound is broken open again, and it's just gushing.
So I think let us actually talk about the superstar thing, right? Because, and I want to preface this by saying a lot of the stats I'm going to give you is from June 14th till the present date, which is the last
Shoot.
20 games for the Yankees. Um,
Okay.
Aaron Judge is hitting 348. He's doing his thing,
Mm-hmm.
7 home runs. The guy that they had relied on for a lot of the season, Juan Soto, is having a tough stretch. He's batting 194. I know there's been some.
What's his on base percentage in that stretch?
It is 425 though. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the thing about Soto. That's the thing I think the Yankees were probably hoping a little bit with Soto. Right now, is the lineup structured, as far as you know, to have Soto bat ahead of Judge, or is he batting after?
I don't know actually on that. I
Because
can't.
that's one thing I felt with this lineup is the thing about Soto. I know last year with the Padres was that he wasn't always perform, at least in the first half, he wasn't performing necessarily to like the superstar offensive levels you would hope for someone like him to do. But he wasn't like doing terrible either. He was maybe batting in the 250s, 260s, but his on base percentage was through the roof. The
Yeah.
problem was is like Machado or Tatis or whoever were not picking it up after him. So it was just kind of a waste, or Soto was positioned after him. I just don't remember what that Padres lineup was. And so that was at least something with the Yankees this season, at least I could see of, all right, if Soto bats ahead of Judge and Soto can at least get on base if he's not hitting, then if Judge can do a fraction of what he does or did during his record breaking home run MVP season, then that's just another base runner for Judge to knock in, who also has 83 RBIs.
Yeah.
So Judge is having another season like that. I'm not totally against Soto underperforming sometimes like that if he can keep his on base percentage still well over 400. But I have a feeling as you explain the rest of their team stats, I'm going to say how they really need Soto to bat like Aaron Judge, or else it's kind of a waste.
Well, yeah, that is the thing. I mean, you're looking at, you've already mentioned LeMahieu, Torres, Volpe has really slowed down. He's
Yeah,
batting 190 in this stretch.
there was a period where it looked like he might be an all-star.
I know that's what like, and maybe his successes and the drop off is hurting that. Verdugo is only batting 205. Trevino is batting a buck 43. So they're really not getting much, uh, production outside of Judge, and obviously the on base percentage is there for Soto, but like he's not playing to his level. Um, so there's all that, right? And I think that's been a huge issue. The other issue that is really affecting them right now is their pitching in this 2021 game stretch is getting clobbered. They have a league worst 6.09 ERA in that time, which is almost a full point over Colorado, which, again, if you're ever in a pitching category with Colorado, not good. They're just getting hit around. Their whip is second worst to Colorado in that
Good
time.
thing I think the Phillies face the Yankees at the end of the month.
Yeah, I know, which is just poetic for the Phillies and how their their year has gone with stuff like that. But yeah, I mean they are just getting absolutely hit around right now, and Garrett Cole hasn't been the Cy Young candidate at times, and they're just not getting
He's still
production.
coming back from injury. I'm willing to
Yeah.
give him
Oh,
a bit more.
I'm fine with giving him a pass, but like when your rotation and just pitching as a whole is as bad as it's been right now, like
Mhm.
that's tough. And
They are fortunate for having such a good start. It's kind
yeah,
of the situation the Phillies are in too with this injuries to Schwarber and Harper. They're just handling it better.
yeah,
And even earlier with Turner and Real Muto for a little bit before, piled on a bit. But the Yankees right now had built themselves enough of a lead that they could, you know, deal with something like this and still come out looking good at the end. They're not leading the division. I don't see them regaining it just because the Orioles
yeah,
are such a strong all around team. But the Yankees were hoping that Soto would be the issue and he wasn't a free agent signing.
yeah,
But really, what they needed to do was they needed to put their money into other areas. I guess, all right. I guess the better answer is instead of that, I guess, is what dissecting what the Yankees did in the offseason to better their team. Because at catching, they basically stayed the way they are, right?
yeah.
It was
Well,
Trevino
Trevino,
last year.
yeah,
Was
Trevino.
Higashioka on the team last year and they
Yeah,
traded him this year? Was
I think he was a part of that Soto trade, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, then he was part of it last year. So their catching situation has basically been Trevino, but they thought Trevino would step up a little, or am I just talking out of my ass there?
No, I'm assuming they're expecting him to bat over the Mendoza line for a stretch of the year. So yeah, probably they expected more, but
I will say one thing that could be good for them now is Ben Rice is looking really good. He's playing
yeah.
first base, but he can also catch, so that's a nice little
That
thing
would
to
be
look for.
interesting. I don't know when. I think Rizzo isn't expected back to like April, or not April,
Mm-hmm.
August though. So I don't know, but that would be interesting. If
Rizzo's another person to mention because his season last year was derailed because of them basically having to play with a concussion for a month,
yeah,
and then that ending his season, and he hasn't performed well. But the hope was that he would bounce back. Not happening.
Yeah.
Torres, they were relying that he would be better. He was maybe for like a month. Now he's back to the Torres of recent years. Not a good situation. They really should think about trading him. LeMahieu is he started off that contract as a utility guy, became a starter. Now he's a starter, and he really should be a utility guy.
Yeah. Man, I loved
Volpe,
he was so good in Colorado too. He really was.
right? So they're how that's right there. Without the real addition they made were outfield additions, and Verdugo, Soto, Grisham, Stanton was healthy for a huge chunk of the first half, so that was at least something rewarding. But I mean, Grisham, I don't think batted that well last year for the Padres anyway, but he was kind of this fourth stringer in the outfield for this team anyway. Verdugo was the guy I feel like they're relying a bit more to have a better average and potentially could have been a top of the order type of guy to set up Soto and Judge. But I guess really you got to look at they just didn't make enough moves to better balance out the holes. They're relying that they're trying to rely on Torres and Rizzo has really not panned out. And now they're learning really fast that LeMahieu has also got to be added to that list of someone you got to push aside and add to the bench. So the Yankees want any hope of saving a potential playoff run. They really need to focus there. I feel confident the pitching will work itself out.
Yeah.
The numbers are still good despite the struggles. It's just that some of those numbers were so good before, and now they're more into the it's good, it's not Cy Young front of the rotation good, but it's still very, you'd be happy any day of the week with this type of a season or those numbers.
I think I know there was a couple games where they got the breaks, beat off of them. Because I remember they played the Orioles. I think they gave up like 17 runs or something a couple weeks ago. So there maybe is some inflating to those numbers, but like looking at their starters in their last four starts, again, which goes in line with this time period that I've been talking about. You have Rodon at a 10.89 ERA, Luis Gil at a 10.43, Garrett Cole at a 6.75, and Sherman at a 6.43 in their last four
He's
starts. For all those guys. So when you add all that up, and as bad as the pitching has been, I mean, Nestor Cortez, he's at a 2.7. He's looking real good down there. But, like, you just add all that up. I mean, you want to reason why they're really struggling the last month of the season. It's that and the fact that outside of Judge, who they can rely on, and obviously Soto is another guy you rely on. It just feels like they're not getting the same production that they were. I mean, are you worried about them going forward per se? Like as you said, I think they're probably upset because they did have the lead in the division and they know that the Orioles were eventually going to just turn it on. But I think obviously their goal is to win the division. So, I mean, are you worried about them in a sense going forward?
I am at that point of the season where I can say I am worried for a team.
I thought you were about to say it's too early to tell as a joke, and I was gonna knock
Nope.
you out.
Nope. We're past the halfway point. We've seen enough to get the trends of everyone, and right now, I am very nervous for this Yankee. I'm nervous for the Yankees lineup.
Yeah,
They're going to make the postseason regardless of a while, as it's probably still the first wild card spot. If they're not the division, but good pitching beats good hitting, and right now, if the Yankees are still heavily reliant, even if they're not that reliant, I still feel like when you're facing the best pitchers on a staff in the postseason, they're going to find ways to pitch around Soto and Judge and force the other members of the Yankees lineup to do the damage, and they're just going to fall flat.
yeah.
The Yankees starting might somewhat figure it out again going into the postseason. I have no doubt, considering they have a lot of potential there as long as they can stay healthy. But I have little faith in the Yankees lineup being able to really carry them into the postseason with where they're at now, where I believe they're going to be moving forward.
And this will be a bigger discussion in the next couple weeks, and I'm not going to throw names around, but I do think, as you said, like maybe they do look to add a third base, or maybe get another guy who can play multiple positions in the infield. I think they're happy with obviously Soto, Judge, and I think they're happy with Verdugo because of some of the stuff he does defensively. But I really, I mean, again, as you said, DJ LeMahieu, what a fall from grace he's had. At least if you replace him, you hope Volpe gets back into the swing of things a little bit. Um, Maybe they add a second piece just because I don't know what's happening with Rizzo. You then have some flexibility to maybe move Ben Rice around, although I would be a little bit shocked if they took Trevino out again, for the comfortability and everything with the pitchers and stuff. But um, I think they probably look to add, and for me, I think I am a little bit concerned as well because Volpe had that great start, and there was a lot of guys that have really fallen off. So is it going to be the case of can they turn it around, or are they going to kind of level out where they are? And it feels like looking at the history of some of these players, it does feel like they're going to kind of be what they are, and earlier, what happened earlier in the season might have been a little bit of them playing over their potential. The other question I have to ask, and I think this is maybe a bigger talking point, but there has been some plays by the Yankees in the last few weeks and days that have been very questionable when you talk about hustle and when you talk about being too lackadaisical. There was the play with Trent Grisham in center field where he nonchalantly goes to grab the ball, he's fumbling it, the guy advances from first to second. Then you had the play the other night where Volpe doesn't run home, he basically jogs and then walks the last few steps home, which negates a run from coming in on what ended up being a tag out of LeMahieu at second. And the reason I bring this up is because, I think there has been a lot of rumblings about Aaron Boone for a couple years now with them not meeting their expectations. And I mean, does that also worry you when you see a team that's struggling and then they're doing, dumb stuff? They're shooting themselves in the foot. They're not playing fundamental. They're playing like idiots. Like stuff like this that just can't happen. Like, does that also worry you? That maybe Boone has kind of lost things, or just the team has lost their mojo.
As someone who didn't think Boone should have come back this season in the first place, I do think he's the issue.
Yeah.
I think when you have something like that happen, if it's like a one-time thing at worst, a two-time thing if they're very different types of plays, then you kind of just hope to look at the manager to kind of handle it behind closed doors, and that's that. But when stuff like that happens repeatedly, you can't help but look at leadership and
Yeah.
just got to wonder what the heck they're doing, because obviously there's visible frustration
Yeah.
in the team. I don't blame them. You expect to be a lot better than you are. Most of the time, you hope they would, keep it together and not make it ruin a game. But when things are really bad, it can sometimes show itself. And that's where you need the manager to kind of set everyone down or give them the stern talk that they don't want to hear. And Boone just does not seem to be that type of guy that can take the team to the next level. For him, it's very much here are your pieces, and either your pieces are good enough as they are, or that's it. Like,
Mm.
I don't see him as someone that can like rally the troops and make them kind of fight for him. It's much more of a this is the guy, he's gonna call everything that needs to be called during a game, but it's not like the players are necessarily playing for him.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a lot of lackadaisical stuff like that, it starts to make you question
What's going on?
exactly what they're
Yeah.
what they're doing. It's like everyone's playing for themselves. I'm like, I don't want to say it's that I couldn't care less because I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what they're thinking. But when the frustration carries itself on the field and affects the game, someone's got to step up. And I don't care if it has to be Judge even, and he becomes truly the captain he's claimed to be, hence the C. You know, you gotta someone's got to light a fire under their butt because right now they're just way too. I feel like it's almost like they're too complacent with the fact of hey, we had such a big lead
Yeah.
that they're struggling the way they are. They're frustrated, but they're still in a great spot, and there's no one really fighting them.
Yeah.
They're won yesterday 14-4 versus the Red Sox. So it's not like they're not present at all,
Yeah.
but they're just all over the place, inconsistent.
Yeah. So I think like
Fire Boone, fire Cashman.
I think those type of plays can't happen obviously, but when they happen in a rough patch like they're in, it really amplifies it. And I'll ask you this question to kind of close things out. And I don't think this excuses them for what has happened the last month, but do you think they overachieved in the first part of the season where it even feels worse than it is now because like all right they're so bad, they're the worst team in the last 20 games, but look what they've done. Does it make it worse for them?
I don't think it's because they overachieve. I think it does. What there was going on right now is worse, or it feels a lot worse than it could have in the past. But I think the issue is because going into the season, they had an issue.
Yeah.
They thought they fixed the problems. And the immediate results for a while were looking like, yes, you did. You're having pitchers that were either injured or were underperforming the last couple seasons are stepping up. You're having your rookie step up, especially with Cole hurt. That was a big blow entering
Yeah.
the season for them. You were bringing in Soto with the mindset of, all right, the stars that were underperforming are also going to step up. Judge is going to put up another stellar season, and things are going to work themselves out offensively, and we're going to be back to where we want to be. Judge didn't have the greatest first month of the season, and the team still did amazing. Like, everything was looking good, and right now it feels like they are back to where they were in the past, and that's the killer because that's
Yeah.
the like crap. We thought we were out of this. We thought we didn't have to deal with this anymore, and we're right back to the issues we had before. What the heck is going on?
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, this has been the last couple of years for them, where they are just not being the Yankees that we've seen in the past that were obviously so dominant, and they still hold themselves to that standard. And it's just
You have to fire Boone and or Cashman at
yeah.
the end of the
Oh
season if you don't
yeah,
think you want. I don't feel if the fact that it didn't happen this offseason, I think puzzled a lot of people. I think we understood that not both of them wouldn't go because that would be extremely drastic for the Yankees, even though it was definitely justified.
mm-hmm.
But we thought at least one of them would kind of, take the fall for recent stuff. So the fact that none of them did was kind of a big question. If you don't do anything after this season, especially if they continue to underperform, I'm not going to say they're going to be this bad to the rest of the season and miss the postseason, but who knows? They may like underperform to the point of like maybe they get between 90 and 95 wins, and for a while it looked like they'd be over
Or
100, and
yeah,
like that could even be enough. Or if they make the postseason and they get a quick exit,
yeah,
I don't know what the reason is. If they don't, they have to get, I feel like, at least to a championship series to feel like it was somewhat worth it
I
given
agree.
recent struggles.
Yeah,
So if they don't make it to there, then I feel like someone has to go. And if they run with the same group again, then like I'm just baffled. There would be that's just absolutely moronic, asinine. Like Cashman is secretly like owning the organization, and everyone's his puppet.
I do agree with you 100% that I think it's if they don't make the championship series this year, then there is going to probably be some changes. That's in the long haul. For now, obviously they're struggling. I think they will look to and probably will add somebody at the deadline. We'll see how much of an impact they have, but for a team that started so well, they're really, really struggling. And I know Yankees fans are pulling their hair out because of this team right now. Because, as you
Can
said,
we make campaign shirts that say "Fire Boone and Cashman 2024"?
you you love stirring the pot. You really do. But yeah, that is all for us here at Big League Breakdowns. Follow us on Twitter at BL_breakdowns and everywhere else, Instagram, Facebook. TikTok, which I'm not sure if it's still banned or not, at Big League
I
Breakdowns.
don't even mention it anymore.
If you liked our content, make sure you subscribe. We do a podcast, a live podcast, as our main form of content, but we do these quick videos on the side. So, again, if we interested you today, consider subscribing, but that is all for us. Thank you for watching.